Well, happy Friday, everybody. I am Nick Slavic. I am the proprietor of the Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company. I'm also the host of this show, Ask a Painter Live. It's a weekly live Facebook show where I use my over 2 decades of experience as a craftsman and an entrepreneur to answer any of your questions. Now, today is going to be a special show. We're going to have the PDCA Contractor Question of the Week. I will also be joined created on Facebook. They have one of the coolest groups of people. I'll let her explain all this before, but if you've ever wanted to know anything about painting cabinets, furniture, that sort of process, Cabinet Painting University is an insane wealth of knowledge. And not only are they very uplifting, very positive people, they also get deep into tests, scientific tests, theories behind things, stuff like that. So obviously, for people who know me, hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. So I am just getting through my introduction here, and then it will be all yours. So basically, we have co-branded show today, Corrie, and it's Leister.
You got it.
All right, make sure I pronounce it right. Okay, so
Yep.
it's sort of a co-branded show between Corrie and Cabinet Painting University and Ask a Painter. It's a big joint effort today. We just happen to be using the Ask a Painter vehicle today because I have to do a show anyway, and why not, right?
Right.
So, first off, we are going to do the PDCA Contractor Question of the Week, which ties in very well with what you do. And then I would like to take a deep dive into who you are and what you do over at Cabinet Painting University. So,
Perfect.
okay, so PDCA, the Painting and Decorating Contractors of America, is a great underwriter and a big ally of mine. We're both trying to raise the standards of the industry, which you guys are very closely aligned with as well. And
Yes.
they send me a question every week. This question is, what's your most requested winter project? And mine is cabinets, so it ties in very well. For you,
Yeah.
what is your most requested winter project?
Cabinets.
Yeah, absolutely.
White cabinets. Everybody seems to
Yep.
want white cabinets right now, but yes, cabinets
Yeah.
definitely.
Absolutely. So I've really tried to tailor my business. I make it very easy for people to have their walls and their cabinets painted on the front page of my website. I even have 2 red buttons, one that says paint my walls, one that says paint my cabinets. So I
Yep.
try to direct people as quickly as I can to that. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it's basically just like you mentioned. We have golden oak, and we would not like it
Mhm.
golden oak, and then we
That
come
is
with the
right.
off-white enamel, right?
You got it.
That's all.
Every time.
So we are going to take an absolute deep dive into. I got a whole bunch of questions about favorite cabinet paint, favorite processes, things like that. All the questions that you get asked all the time, and I do too.
Mhm.
It'll be great for 2 people in our situations to sort of do that together. So
Awesome.
so yeah. First of all, Corrie, where are
Yes.
you? How did you get here? Why Cabinet Painting University?
Well, it's kind of crazy, the whole process. My name is Corrie Leister, and my business is called Inspired by You. And I just wanted a business where my customers could play a part in the end vision, and
Mm,
that's kind of how I got my name. Let's see. I'm located in central Pennsylvania, so it's cold here too.
yes.
and and actually, my background is in leadership, and I
Mm,
started out as a teacher. When I was right out of college, I was a teacher, and my husband and I started a leadership business um, on the side of teaching and coaching, and it took off for us. So 3 years after starting that, I was able to walk away from my teaching job to pursue our leadership business full time. And so we were speaking all around the country on leadership and entrepreneurship and teaching
wow.
people just how to start up and run small businesses. And then life kind of took a drastic hit and it kind of threw me in a direction that I wasn't seeing. And so I was out visiting my sister in Oklahoma, and the whole time I was there, I was helping her decorate our nursery and paint
Mm,
and do furniture and all kinds of stuff. And she said, "You need to start a business with painting." She said, "Because you've got a gift." And the day that I got home, I got a random call from one of my friends asking me to paint her kitchen. And so that kind of propelled me in this direction where I was able to take everything that I learned through my leadership business
mm.
and apply it to my kitchen cabinet painting business. And it was amazing what happened when the two kind of combined. And that was just in 2015, so it
Oh,
wasn't that
nice.
long ago. And then I met Rebecca Grosskreutz. Now, are you familiar with Rebecca at all?
I've heard her name, yes.
Okay, so she is the one, she runs the Paint and Product Brand Forum, and she kind of revolutionized the furniture painting industry.
Oh, sure.
And so I partnered with her, and from there my business skyrocketed because I've always been driven, and I just needed direction, and she helped me
Mm-hmm.
with the direction, and I just followed her process and started succeeding. And she saw that I did cabinets too, and so she wanted to branch off into the cabinet industry. And so I said I would love to do it, but I'm really busy, and so I needed a partner,
Yeah.
with a lot of the background knowledge, because I had more the business side, but Melissa Lorello,
Yep.
she has a lot of the background knowledge, and just, growing up with a contractor and just knowing everything. I've learned so much from her. She's been phenomenal. And then we made a great team, as far as that goes. So Rebecca was kind of the mastermind behind everything. She's really behind the scenes with Cabinet Painting University and everything.
Oh, nice. I
Um,
didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah,
everybody knows you and Melissa. You guys are kind of, at the helm of Cabinet Painting University.
she is the mastermind behind everything.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yes.
Well, it's very
Yeah,
nice of you
and
to give credit where credit's due.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. She just kind of, she's the one who created our website and does all of, like, just the behind the scenes stuff. And so she's
Wow.
never really out in the spotlight in Cabinet Painting University, but she is very instrumental in
Very
in
nice.
where we're at. And
So
I
what
know
what
she,
why don't you tell us what Cabinet Painting University is?
yeah,
And I know we'll get into the other groups as well, but Cabinet Painting
yeah.
University is probably the one that people know you from.
Right, yeah, Cabinet Painting University, it is a online university, where we have taken everything that we wish we would have known when we started our cabinet painting businesses and put it in one place. So really, a lot of people, they think they can just pick up a paintbrush and
Yep.
just go to work at it, and they don't understand all of the stuff that's involved. So we have two tracks in Cabinet Painting University. There's a business track with all of, like, just the logistics, marketing strategies, all of the documents that you would need, that you can edit and personalize to your business. So they're just basically templates that you can
Oh,
take
nice.
and run with. There's a 4-page contract in there that was drawn up by an attorney so that you cover all your bases, just to make sure that you're covered. And so just everything that you would need to start up and run a business. And then there's a technique track too that takes you from start to finish, how to do it. And then in addition to the online course, you can take it at any time. It's not like there's no time restrictions, and it's a lifetime membership.
Hmm.
But in addition to that, I feel like the most important aspect is our mastermind group, because
Yep.
the online course is very high tech. But if you've got a high tech process without high touch, it's going to fail. And so I think the mastermind group is very high touch and very, we laugh a lot. I feel like the people in our course we're friends, and I've never met some of these
Yeah.
people, but
Exactly.
we're
Yep.
all really great friends, and we know each other, and we just form these great relationships as we grow together, because I feel like it's a iron sharpening iron. We all have our own businesses that we're out running, but we're all there to share from our own experiences, because I feel like if you are just going and you're just running with your own experiences, that's great, and you're going to learn along the way. But exponential growth is going to occur when you take not just your experiences, but the experiences of hundreds of other people who are out there trying, failing, and adjusting along with you. And you can learn from everybody's experiences, and then we all grow at such a fast rate. And it's just a really cool environment that we've created for growth.
Yeah, and especially in a sort of industry where we all have access to the same products, it's
Right.
all the questions that people have, all the big mysteries of like cabinet painting, especially, have all kind of been solved by somebody
Yes.
out there, and you've built a really good community of people who are like, yes, here's my experience. They're fully willing to share, and
Hmm.
they're all on board with the sort of anti-zero sum game where it's like one person's success doesn't necessarily take success from another. It's that everybody
Right.
can have as much success as they want together, which it's a
You got
huge
it.
breath of fresh air, especially in Facebook land.
Oh, tell me about it. We saw what was going on out there in some of the other groups, and we didn't want any part of it. We didn't want any bashing, like if there's no negative, it's all uplifting, encouraging. We're all there to help one another. If you don't agree with somebody, that's great. You can each have your own opinions, and everybody does things differently, and that's awesome. But let's
Yeah.
learn from one another. I
And
think that
I know that you and
we need
Melissa
more of
have
that.
seen this too, is that people sort of have two reactions to things on the internet. Somebody will post something and say, "Hey, here's a job I recently did," or "Here's something cool that I saw." And people's reaction is either, "Hey, here's something that I noticed that you did wrong in that picture," or, "Oh
Hmm.
man, that is so cool. What about this? I'm
Yeah,
so curious about this." And it's kind of an interest.
yeah,
Now it's not 50-50. It's probably 1% of the people that we come into contact with, but it's just like,
yeah.
"Oh, that's too bad. That's your first reaction to that."
Yeah, I know it is so sad, but fortunately, I think people are they understand. And it's funny too, because I'll get messages all the time. Oh, I'm so sorry. I saw that you deleted my comment. Like, please leave me in the group. I thought it was in the other group. And I'm like, it's okay. You're all good. you
Oh,
know,
that's so
but
funny.
it's funny because they understand our standards, and we're not going to lower our standards to meet the mediocrity. We want to
Yeah.
rise above and raise the level and just treat each other with respect. I think that's essential.
Well, I give you guys a lot of credit there because um, gathering a whole bunch of technical information and videos and tests is one thing, but you guys have actually built a culture that's very
Mm,
unique there, and it really
yeah.
models sort of, I see a lot of similarities in the people you've gathered in Cabinet Painting University and people in my own company too. So it
Hmm.
feels like, oh, it's like an old pair of shoes you slip on. It's like, oh, I feel right at home here. This is great. It's
Yep.
people who are optimistic and they're curious, and yeah, I won't say anymore, but yeah, people, if you've not checked out Cabinet Painting University, seriously, it is different, but it's not just a group either. What I appreciate is it's not just a group cheering people on. It is that, but you guys also
Right.
go deep into technical stuff too, and you do
Yeah.
the business stuff, which is all stuff
Hmm.
right after my heart. I love that because
Yeah.
most people don't do all that.
Yeah, well, and I think everybody has their strengths too. And I think if we're able to pull the strengths from each other, we do a lot of that in our mastermind group. Like I know Joe Elmore from Armor Tough Coatings. He
Oh,
did a
absolutely.
talk on safety, on safety in the workplace, and Michael Crane from Crane Painting LLC.
Oh,
He did one
absolutely.
on
Yep.
just coatings, and Louis Jasso is going to be doing it. He's a fine finisher. I saw that you got the surf prep stuff in.
My
I know.
people are using it right now.
Are
Absolutely.
they? Do you love it? I've been doing a lot of research on it. It looks amazing.
It is,
Um,
and you know what? I love good tools. And quickly, we won't do too much of an aside, but
yeah, sorry.
the biggest one thing that's interesting is there's an extra pad you can put on it. And we have
Right.
Mercas, we have Festuals, we have all that good stuff. We're
Hmm.
not Chevy or Ford people. We love everything good.
Yep,
And
I'm
you
with
you
you.
take his machine, the surf prep machine, you put it on one of those vacuum things, and it's got a foam pad like this. So on our
Hmm.
cabinet doors, instead of taking a random orbital sander, which goes, it can't conform to those raised
Right.
panels. This one will get in there and do the
It
raised
goes right in
panels.
the
So
profile.
yeah, so
Yeah. I know. I'm so excited. And he's
yeah,
going to
it's
do,
it's a
he
it's a
loves,
cool thing.
he talks all over the country too. He's going to do a talk on coding basics. So, I mean, I love just finding, we don't have to know it all, but we have to find the
Yep,
people who know a lot of information and we can just grow. So I'm
absolutely.
excited
And
about it.
Louis is a master wood finisher too. So he's got
Yeah.
we spoke on the phone, and he's got some very good knowledge, and I'm gonna pick his brain soon too. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So,
I'm gonna go through a few questions here we have real quick, and
yeah.
then I'm gonna put you through the barrage of all the questions that I get all the time here. So
Okay. Sounds
um,
great.
painting cabinets possible to do on your own, or is it better with two or three people? You want to tackle this one first? This is from
Mhm.
Sean Comerford. I believe he's from Scotland.
Okay. Well, hey, Sean. I have done kitchen cabinets on my own for years, and I can do it on my own. I've been self-taught, but then I've taken classes as well. But then it got a point where I was doing one kitchen a month because I also do furniture and workshops and
Mm,
things like that. So I was doing one kitchen a month, and then I was booking out so far in advance. I was like, okay, people want their kitchens done, and I don't want to push them back too far. So then I started taking on two kitchens a month, and it was just myself. And it was a little crazy, but I was able to do it. And then I was booking out to 2020. And so I was like, I got to make some changes. So I just hired on two more people, and now I'm doing four
oh,
kitchens
nice.
a month. So it's constantly growing, but it is definitely possible to do it on your own.
And when you don't do it on your own, do you have your people work in teams? Do you do singles? How do you best operate?
I do teams,
Mhm.
and actually my teammate is my son. I have a
Oh,
23-year-old,
nice.
so he's phenomenal. And we do it. We work together, and we work really swiftly and really well together. And then I also have an incredible woman, Patricia, who she helps me prep.
Ah,
Because I hate
nice.
to prep, and she's really good at it and very thorough. So I pull on people just to kind of help in the aspects that, so I don't get burnt out. I want to be able to focus on the things that I like to do. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh,
How about you? I know you work in
Oh,
teams too,
yeah.
right?
Same thing. I've been doing people experiments for the last year in my company, and
Hmm.
the basis is a two-person team. And about 2 months ago, I experimented. I took one of my crews, broke them apart, and put them in three-person crews. So we had a craftsperson, which is my most senior person in the company, paired with a
Okay.
senior apprentice, which is a middle ground, and then a brand new apprentice. And I made two crews of
Okay.
those. And recently, because I wanted to double down on training to get everybody up to speed, and those
Hmm.
three-person crews
Right.
would allow somebody to get something done if that person's not a trainer. They don't want to speak with other
Okay.
people, that's fine. They can get some work done.
Yeah.
But then there's also a crafts person there doing some training. And honestly, those three-person teams have been doing insane work. It's just been
Yeah.
they're
Sounds
happy,
like
they're
it.
good. So I don't think I could run a whole company full of three-person teams. The personalities
Hmm.
don't fit, but I love
Yeah.
pairs, especially on
Okay.
cabinets. Now,
Yeah.
but having said that, like you, for many years, I did whole kitchens alone. I used to do complete new construction, start to finish
Yeah.
alone. So you don't have to have more people to do kitchens.
Right. Right.
Matthew Varga, somebody who I came into contact and got to know recently a little bit on Facebook land. Hi, Nick and Corey. Thanks much for this episode of Ask a Painter Live. We have a job coming up to paint some cabinets. I'm looking forward to looking into the university. I would say if you have not been
Mm.
introduced to it yet, give yourself an hour or two and just start scrolling. And
Yeah.
anything you've ever wanted
Yeah.
to know, it's all there.
Yeah, and actually we have a flash sale this weekend that we're just doing for
Nice.
this, and your
Oh,
picture
yes.
is on the front page, so people can save $50. It's just we only open up the course a couple times a year because we like to focus on the new people who come because, like I said, it is very high touch and we like to build relationships. But we are running a flash sale from today through Sunday at midnight. So you can check it out at www.cabinetpaintinguniversity.com, and the code is just flash sale 50, and you put that in, you get $50 off. But then you'll have access to all of the course and the mastermind group.
I love it, and I recently just passed my vetting period and was allowed in the mastermind group. So I've been
Yes,
scrolling,
you've been
scrolling,
vetted.
scrolling, and I absolutely love. It's like I got my sash now, I got my stripes, we're good, and I have not contributed as much as I would like to. This is the busiest time of my year, but also
Yes, me too.
I've been scrolling and scrolling. I love when you're introduced to a big wealth of knowledge to just take it all
Hmm.
in first, make sure you understand the climate and the culture of the group, and then I really look forward to doing more with you guys on that because
Oh,
especially that you
anytime.
guys are doing your tests and things like that. It's just
Hmm.
like, yes, it's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. We have a great time in there, but yes, of course, you're welcome anytime.
Okay, so Joel Hamburg. Joel Hamburg is a master craftsman. He lives out in
Hmm.
Portland. I've known Joel from PDCA functions. He puts on the big craftsmanship forum and things. An awesome guy. He
Oh,
has a
okay.
question. Please discuss stain toning cabinets and restoration. He'll be using some salmon products from Canada. He
Mm.
just restored a bunch of wood at the old spaghetti factory. He does amazing
Oh,
work.
wow.
What have you guys done the deep dive into? I have golden oak cabinets, but I want them dark walnut cabinets stained.
We haven't done that yet. However, we did do in our mastermind group. We had Deb Alexander and Jessica Gilbert who do a lot of the. They use the general finishes,
Mm-hmm.
their stains, and so they did a tutorial in that. I haven't done the dive into that because I like to stick with painting
Yeah,
for now.
yeah.
But 10 years down the road, we're going to be stripping all of the paint that we're doing now because times change.
Times
But
change.
for now, I've just been focusing on painting. However, we do have some experts who have shared some of their tips and stuff. I know the general finishes gel stains work really well, and I've seen some beautiful kitchens that have turned from like the golden oak into the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
So
about you? Do you do a
and
lot of that?
Joel, I I always say I don't do it, but I just did it.
Okay.
We had an entire basement that was it got flooded, all new cherry woodwork and the whole thing, and they had an existing
Mm,
pine door that was just clear finish. So I went down there and I toned it to match the other stuff. I use
okay.
a gel stain, and then I thin it down just far enough to get through an HVLP sprayer, which I don't normally
Okay.
use HVLP, but this is perfect for it. And you
Okay.
basically just tone it, you thin it down just enough so enough stain comes out where you can do about 10 passes over the wood, and you can bump the
Okay.
finish as you go. It keeps getting darker and darker.
Oh,
And the
okay.
only problem, as a spiritually, I'm not quite on board with that process, because
Hmm.
when you add that much tint to a clear finish, it makes a poor finish and it's really prone to
Okay.
chipping. So if
Hmm.
somebody has a patio door that wants toned or something, I'm happy to do it. But I really try to talk people out of kitchen cabinets. I'm always happy to do
Yeah.
it, but number one, you can't guarantee the outcome because you're dealing with what's under there, and there's going to be
Right.
gradients of stain. And number two,
Yeah.
it's really not that great of a finish, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah. I know other people have different experiences, but it's for business reasons. Spiritually, I love doing it, but for
Hmm.
business reasons, it's not a very good thing to be into. It's not a guarantee.
Right.
Like when somebody says paint my cabinets Benjamin Moore Dove White, there is a finish line, and there is
Yeah.
a thing we can all
Yeah.
agree on, that is, this is it. Not so much
Yep.
with
Yep.
staining.
Right.
All right, let's see. Okay, Sean Comerford, again there. Brush and roller or spray machine? I'm a poor Scotsman. I don't have a spray machine, but God Almighty, would I love to use one. So what is your kind of go-to application method?
Okay, well, I did brushing and rolling for years
Mhm.
because I do furniture as well. So I love to do specialty finishes and like the distressing and the
Oh yeah.
glazing and like just kind of I, I'm an artist, so I love
Mhm.
that kind of thing. So I started with brushing and rolling, and I didn't get a sprayer until um, oh my gosh, it was just over a year ago.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, and so I had never sprayed and I just did everything by hand. But I absolutely love my sprayer. I
I
don't think
know,
I'd
right?
ever go back.
And what is your sprayer, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I do have the Graco, the 9.5, the HVLP,
Hmm.
and I love it. And I don't have to reduce my paint. And it's just, actually, Graco has been phenomenal. They've been a really big supporter of Cabinet Painting University. They've given us 3 sprayers so
That's
far just to
amazing.
give to our group. And they just sent me a 7.0 to test out here too. So I'm going
Oh,
to try that
nice.
one as well. Yeah,
If
Kevin in there, he is phenomenal. So
I
yeah, they've
I
been
would
really
love to
great.
get, especially somebody like you who has really put in the intellectual muscle into these processes and
Mm.
given them a lot of thought. I would love your impression on getting a pure airless too. So
Mm.
when Graco sends you one of those, or when you get your hands on one, I would love to hear your impressions on that,
Okay.
and how it changes for you and things like that, because
Okay.
it's a fun thing. And I have
Yeah.
a 9.5 too, and they're
Hmm.
beautiful machines.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And the thing I love too is because I am fairly new to the spraying world, because really when our free group started, the kitchen cabinet painting experts, I don't know,
Hmm.
we have so many groups that I
All
run.
right.
The kitchen cabinet painting experts is our free group.
Yep.
And it's not because we're the experts, it's because we're surrounding ourselves with experts in that group. I love all of the sprayers in there because they educate me daily on different sprayers to try and different, just ideas and things that they use that, I mean, I'm constantly learning from everybody in there. So it's just a constant growth process. But when we originally started, um, the majority of our group was furniture painters who were looking to transfer into the cabinet painting world.
Yeah.
And then it slowly grew. Like originally, it was all women,
Yep.
and it was just all people who wanted to do that. But as it started to grow, we started getting all of these people who have been spraying for years and years, and just all of these. I mean, Jake Shear, who the door rack painter, he's
Yep.
been spraying for or painting for over 40 years, So it just kind of grew over the year, and now we have people in there from every walks of life and people who have far more experience painting than I do, but I love to learn from everybody in there. And all of the sprayers have really educated me on the different equipment that's out there. So.
And experience is one thing, but experience and a good culture is something very important. And that's kind of the people who are attracted to what you guys have done. So,
Yeah.
Sean, I will say this, that I used to paint cabinets by hand too. And I sometimes you can get away with different products when you spray because you don't have to take into account brush marks. When you're brushing, you need a little more open time. When you're spraying, you can really go for something that snap dries, and in most cases, you kind of want that. So you can go with a
Right.
little trickier products spraying, but yeah, water-based products are usually the most sort of applicable to hand finishing, but then you sometimes run into adhesion and bleeding issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we go full airless, it's the stinkiest oil primer we can get, and we lay it on as thick as we can. So it's one of those things.
I will say, if you are brushing and rolling, and you're using like a product like the Benjamin Moore Advanced or, whatever your product is, the Sherwin-Williams flock foam rollers are
Mm,
phenomenal because they lay it on really thin. Because whenever you're painting cabinets, you want thin coats because it's more durable.
hmm.
But it will lay it on really thin, but it will give you an almost spray-like finish. So the
And do you have
flock
a
foam
go-to
rollers.
brush for when you brush cabinets and roll?
Well, I love the Zebra 2-inch sash brush. I
Uh-huh.
love the way that it holds the paint. I can cut a really long line with it. I
Yeah.
do love the Zebra paintbrushes. Um, for pinstriping, I love the Purdy the Clear Cut Dale. I don't know. I have a slew of brushes.
Yep,
So,
exactly.
but I
I
do like
like
this
putting you
brush.
through I like putting you through all these questions that people always ask me, like, what brush? What's your favorite brush? It's like I can give you 100 instances. What are you doing?
Right.
You know, and it's just
Yeah, I
like
know. It's like,
I want to be accurate.
hmm yeah, yeah. I don't know. What about you? What's your favorite one?
For enamel work, we use a Pretty Nylox.
Okay.
It is a sprig, so it's a 2.5 inch straight cut, old school beaver tail sort of thing, and it's just
Mm,
got the super fine bristles, and
yeah,
it's like a tried and true. It's available in a lot of places, and
yeah,
it's not some weird imported thing from Australia, and it's just
yeah.
like a workhorse, and it gives you about as minus ox hair. It's about the smoothest brush you can get for that
Oh,
sort of
wow.
stuff. So. And
Okay.
in my business, simplicity is one of my hallmarks. We have three
Hmm.
brushes in my entire business, and we
Wow.
restore Victorian homes. We're doing varnish, we're doing cabinets, we're doing standard wall painting, and so I like to we have simple processes, and that's one of them.
Hmm.
So, all right, let's see what we got here. Paul Rafferty was replying to Sean. I was the same as you. I would brush and roll, but get yourself an HVLP. The level of finish is way better. So, yeah, if nothing else, a lot of Graco and Titan reps will actually let you borrow or use or
Hmm.
demo one. Get in your
Yeah.
shop and just spend a couple hours and see what it's like to put your finish through one of those things. And instantly, if you're a painter who's done this for more than a little while, a lot of things will click in your brain like, oh, okay, here's a good use for
Yeah.
this. Here's the problems I foresee with this. And it's kind of one of those things. So,
That's really how I got mine. I had them demo it for me, and then they let me
yep.
use it, and I was hooked.
Oh, Michael Crane's watching too. You mentioned Michael. Yeah,
Hey,
Michael's a
Michael.
fun guy to watch on the internet too. He does awesome
He
work
is
too.
fun.
So,
Yes.
oh, Sean, I have done it once by brush and roller, and it turned out nice. Just thought I would ask. Oh yeah, no problem, Sean.
Hmm.
Sean's a frequent watcher, so I love interacting
Okay.
there. Okay. When you paint your kitchen cabinets, what do you use for primer? What do you use for top coat?
My prime, I love Zinsser bench lack. I just do.
Yep.
It helps prevent bleed through. It sands really well too. So if I can get any brush strokes out if I happen to be brushing on site. Um, yeah, and I do like the Insulix the sticks
Yep.
primer for engineered wood substrates like laminate surfaces and things that are real slick. I When I was testing out that product, I had just done it on a cabinet door, a laminate cabinet door, and then 24 hours later, I took a screwdriver to it, and the stuff didn't budge. So,
That's
I mean, you
awesome.
know me. I'm always going to experiment and make sure that the
Yep.
product is good before I use it. But yeah, that stuff it adheres really well. So if you don't have to worry about bleed through, then I do like sticks as well as as well as bin, but bin is definitely my go-to.
Yeah, and a HVLP application with all that stuff.
Yeah, when I'm doing a grainy oak, I like to actually brush and roll the first coat because it seeps down into the grain because the bin is so thin. And then that way, then I'll sand it really good and burnish it a little bit and then spray another coat on there. But I really like to get it. I find like it fills the grain really well and it just gives a more beautiful finish.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, so when I'm using bin, that's how I'll apply it.
So one of those primers, and then what's your go-to top coat? I know you guys are sort of non-denominational. You test out everything.
Yes.
You're open to everything. What's your go-to top coat for cabinets?
I currently I like the Sherwin-Williams Emerald Urethane Trim Enamel. I know
Yep.
it's a trim paint, but you know
Yep.
what? The stuff is so durable. It lays beautifully. It has less. I mean, you can recoat after just 4 hours, as opposed to
Yep.
the Benjamin Moore Advance, which is 16. And so I like them both, and I think that they're both incredible products. But I love the washability factor of it.
Hmm.
It just, when it dries, you can spill stuff on it. I had a lady I had just painted that day, and she was cooking on her stove and spilled this green stuff all over the front of the cabinets, and I was freaking out the next day because she didn't realize it. And I saw this green stuff and I was like, oh no, but it wiped right off, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. you know but I think that the one thing about the emerald urethane is the sheens are a level off. So
Oh,
if you're,
absolutely. Yep.
I think that that's a big issue if you want to make sure that you have your sheen right, and you're getting the desired finish. But I do like that product. However, I am always testing, and whenever I sit down at a consult, I'm like, just know whatever paint product I'm going to be using on your kitchen, it is going to be tested thoroughly, and it will do the
Yeah.
job very well, and we'll get
Yep.
a color decided and everything. But I just said, I'm constantly in the search for the best paint product for your kitchen. So it may switch by the time I get to your kitchen. But I said, just know that I put great value in my customers, and I want to give you the best service. So if I find something that's better than what I'm currently using, then know that that's what I'll be using on your cabinet. So
You
yeah,
bet.
I don't think I'm not, we're definitely not brand loyal as far as that goes, but we're definitely always in the search for something. The thing about the emerald urethane is it dries so hard
Hmm.
that to glaze it and put a clear coat on it, it's not a good idea. So if I'm doing a
Hmm.
solid finish, that's what I'll go with. But I'm also looking at the Enduro Poly. I really like
Yep.
that. I've seen some stuff. Michael Crane just did the video on water-based polys, and I love the way it's sprayed. Have you sprayed that one yet?
I have not sprayed that. I've done tests in
Oh,
the shop before,
okay,
and I've only done limited tests because I have this.
okay,
When I do my tests, one of the big variables that I have to play with is we need stuff in a large quantity instantly, and it has to be
right.
readily available, and that's a little tough for me because I think it's
It
40 minutes
is.
one
Yeah,
way to the store, and the last time I checked, most of the time they don't even stock gallons. So
right.
I have worked with the stuff. I absolutely love it, but
Yeah.
it's tough right now to run a business off it. So I do limited testing.
It's got to be accessible. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it's tough for me because I'm 45 minutes outside of Minneapolis here, and I have supply stores close, but it is like of the four things I rate coatings on. I mean,
Mhm.
availability is one of them, and that's a
It's
truth,
got to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But if you ever spray it, it does spray amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'm still, every time I do a test too, there's always this thing in the back of my head that says, will this be here in 3 to 5 years? So
Yeah.
when I find this beautiful Elkid varnish that's a matte or
Hmm.
a low luster, and it looks like the old varnishes, the linseed oil varnishes did 100 years ago, it's
Yeah.
like I found it, but do I now
Will
base
it
my
be around?
processes off this thing? And
Yeah.
the reason for all that is I wish I could just convert everything I do to water base.
Hmm.
I think we could all agree that water base is not quite there. Like if we had the choice of quality, durability, adhesion, stain blocking, still the non-water based products are still have a little bit over them, and
Yeah.
they're still available in my area. they're still super cheap and they still work really well, but I don't assume that that's going to be the same 5 years from now.
Yeah, not the direction that we're headed.
No, not at all, not at all. So every year
Yeah.
about this time, usually in January, I get in the shop and I try to test out like, okay, here's our standard millwork painting process, and here's what we
Hmm.
use. Is there something that can take the place that smells less? And I go through my
Right.
tests every year, and sometimes we find something, but there hasn't in the last
Hmm.
couple of years. I've not really found any. And I don't want to use breakthrough as in PPG breakthrough, but I haven't found
Right.
any real breakthrough water-based products in the last couple of years. I don't know if you've
Right.
found some odd gems out there or something.
No.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of in the same boat there with you. But I mean, we're constantly searching
Yeah,
and
no,
testing.
absolutely. I'm like a catfish at the bottom of a river. I'm always looking
Right.
like I'm waiting for somebody to come out with a water-based primer that sticks to everything, blocks all stains, and is infinitely sandable. And the second that that
Yeah.
comes out, I am all on board.
Now, I did find a really good, it's a clear blocking primer, which
Mhm.
are very hard to come by, from Wise Owl. And I like that, like when I'm doing distressing and stuff, if I have something that's clear and it grips really well, because this stuff, you could just feel kind of the paint just gripping onto it.
Right.
And it proved to be pretty durable. We're going to be featuring Wise Owl in January in our group because we like to do some of the specialty paints. Like we're really not biased, so we'll
Yeah.
test them all. You know, if you've got a paint that you say is going to be great on cabinets, then we'll put it out there. So I've been working a little bit with the Wise Owl products, and so that's one that I really liked was their. It's a clear blocking primer that grips just really really well. So I mean that's one that I've tested and I like for specialty finishes, but I mean we're constantly looking for those kind of products.
Well, and talk about a curious mind. I mean, you guys had a series on pinstripe glazing where you use
Mm,
different methods and stuff like that. I was like, oh my God, these are all things
yeah.
that I was like embarrassed to tell people that I've tried, like glaze pens. I use sign writing. These are all things that I do in the privacy of my
Yeah.
shop because it's like if anybody finds out I do this, they're gonna think I'm a
Yeah.
crazy person. And you guys are all
Did you
like,
see the one
we've
with,
tried.
oh my gosh, Melissa had a cake decorator, and she had glaze in there and she was pinstriping with a cake decorating tool. I was like, oh my word. Yeah.
I have gone through my own kitchen looking for something to glaze cabinets with, and it is yeah. I love that way of thinking. Like you start thinking
Yep.
about the actual thing. Like okay, do I need to buy something specific, or do I need a some sort of machine to just take a finite amount of
Yeah.
glazing and apply it in a very measured way? And all of a sudden, you start looking
Hmm.
around, and there could be a lot of glazing tools there. So.
Yeah. I know it.
So you mentioned something that people who do a lot of cabinets will understand and recognize, but filling the grain in oak somewhere between the
Hmm.
priming process and the top coat. And you mentioned that you like to do
Yeah.
it at the priming phase. Um,
Yeah.
something that I mean, obviously we've experimented with a lot of this. I've
Hmm.
experimented with everything from the primer to the top coat. One interesting thing that we've changed this last year is filling between the first and second top coat of enamel. Um,
Oh,
with we use cover stain oil primer a lot, and it's
okay.
super prone to brush marks. So we used to
Hmm.
want to fill everything at the primer stage. You know, you think we'll fill it all
Right.
now and then lay it, but we had to sand out a lot of brush marks. So what we've been doing is going through our we call it the SVT process, sand, vac,
Hmm.
attack. So we SVT the
Right.
cabinet doors, we prime it, we SVT again, we lay down a top coat, and then whatever pores are left over, right when we're ready to spray the second coat of enamel, we get in there with one of those enamel brushes, brush it on the open grain, and immediately spray back over. And
I do that too.
that's it's great. And it's
It
with an
does.
enamel. The reason that we've had luck with it is because the enamel will stay wet longer, so the brush strokes are
Yep.
non-existent. Especially if you spray right over the top of it right away. It's
Yep.
just been like that's been a huge improvement. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because not all cabinets need it. It's the cabinets that were super poorly done with like
Yeah.
nitrocellulose lacquer 10 or 15 years ago.
Hmm.
And the lacquer crowded around the pores in the wood, and it almost
Mm.
created these little, it's just, you could tell
Yeah.
there was no sanding going on or anything else. And yeah,
Yeah, I
so
do. I
no
do
fun.
like to do because I will brush and roll the coat of the primer, and then I spray a coat because I do the sand back and tack as well because that's
Mhm.
crucial because you want your finish. We always say our I guess our tagline in in our groups is your finish is only going to be as good as your prep. and so we want to make sure that we have a smooth finish. So sand back and tack, absolutely. But I found too, in between, like right before that last coat too, if there's anything that I've missed with, the brushing and rolling, and I'll do a brush coat on there too. I think that that's a great way to get rid of all that grainy oak that we deal with a
And
lot.
so when a client comes up to you, or this, I mean, this is one of the most common questions, whether it's somebody in the cabinet painting university, where it's somebody who private messages me, or even our clients.
Mm-hmm.
Can you fill the grain in the oak for me? What do you say?
Mm-hmm. I say, well, I can. I say I can, but I say, your best bet is to get a beautiful finish is just to I'm able to use a primer that's going to seep down into that grain and fill it pretty well. Now it's not going to eliminate the grain, but it's going to give you a beautiful finish, and then I can show them, because I always have samples on me too. I
Yeah.
always show them. I'm like, okay, so this is what it would look like. Some people have asked to go see kitchens that I've done, where I not filled the grain, but just I've used my process, just to make sure. And they love that. If they want more of a factory finish, I do have, I like, um, it's a pro finisher, it's called. It's like something that I can get a smoother finish on there for them. And I have sample doors of those too, because it almost eliminates the grain, but you're never going to eliminate it fully, I feel.
Yeah. Well,
And
and
it does require a ton of work.
oh my God. And listen, okay, furniture. If somebody makes a really fine piece of mahogany, like a little end table, brand
Mhm.
new, it's a spec piece, it something that somebody really has a high budget for, and they want like a piano finish on top, you fill the grain. And
Mhm.
you have to get tinted grain filler, you squeegee it on, you sand it, you seal it, you do it again, you do it again.
Yeah.
And that's for something special. That's
Right.
for a musical instrument, a beautiful piece of furniture. I talked to cabinet makers, and I got asked this question so much. Obviously my labor to take Swedish putty or filler and do this is not worth it. And I can get cabinet
Right.
makers in my area for about $20 a door to make new doors. And they can make them out of maple,
Mhm.
they can make them out of MDF, and you're guaranteed a smooth finish for
Yeah.
$20 a door versus, how many hours of labor per cabinet door would
It's
it
gonna
take?
be a
It's just
lot.
like, it's a lot. And you're still, and what I always tell my people is that you see all the little, where a floating panel
Mhm.
comes together in a corner. You know how much
Yeah.
work it's going to take to have those sharp lines after you've applied
Right.
putty, and so it's just like cost
Yeah.
benefit. I hate the business side to come on me, but it's like, listen, for
Yeah.
$20 a door, you could get a brand new kitchen made out of this stuff,
Mhm.
and it's way better. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I know it.
uh,
Actually, I had a couple that they wanted to see a finished kitchen that I had done with oak. They got brand new doors and they got them oak just so that they could get the finish that I had done. I was like, oh, okay, well.
oh, that's funny. That's funny. No, and that's interesting too. When people add crown molding to
Mhm.
cabinets, and when people add a cabinet, they're always like, "Hey, I'm going to get MDF." I'm like, what would be the most consistent
Yeah.
finish? This doesn't sound very smart, but just get oak again, because then at least it'll be a
Right.
consistent, sort of thing like
Yeah.
that.
You
So
want a consistent finish.
yeah, absolutely. So okay, you had mentioned when we were talking about emerald trim urethane about it
Hmm.
being, it sounded like you had a little caution. It's a trim paint. I don't know how controversial you want to get with KCMA standards, if you want to go down that
Yeah.
path today or not. Why could you tell people, this is a 4 hour long conversation, but could you tell people what KCMA is and why we would even talk about it?
Yeah, it's just a test that they run for manufactured kitchen cabinets. And these are for manufactured kitchen cabinets. They're not for painted kitchen cabinets. So
And we
when
should
you
say
say,
that KCMA is Kitchen Cabinet Manufacturers Association. It's like an
yes,
umbrella trade group, right?
right, right. And so we've been in contact with them directly because everybody was telling us that their paint is KCMA certified and stuff like that. And we couldn't find a list because we wanted to test all of the paint. Of course we did. We wanted
Absolutely.
to test all of the paints. So there was no such list. But what some paint companies have done is sent it in to get these tests that they do on manufactured cabinets done on their paint. So they
Mm.
can't say that they're KCMA certified paints, But they can run the tests on those paint products. Now, they do all kinds of tests, like I don't think that there's any durability tests as far as that goes, but it is like on just the top coat of it. Like they'll put mustard on there and like just
Oh yeah,
different
the proverbial mustard
solvents
test.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
all
hi.
different kinds of stuff. Hi there.
Look who just came home. Hi. Can you say hi, Corrie?
Hi, aren't you beautiful?
Run along. Yeah, so it's an
Um,
interesting thing, and what had happened was we go along our merry way, and
mhm,
we have Benjamin Moore, Sherwin-Williams, Ace Hardware, PPG, General Finishes. We have all these things at our
mhm,
disposal. We go out
yeah,
there, we get them, and we test them, and
yeah,
then there's some talk of, hey, what you guys are doing is great, except none of this meets KCMA standards. So
right.
people like us, our eyebrows raise, and we say, okay, you're using a KCMA certified product. Let's take a deep dive because I don't want to be
Yeah,
the non-certified one. So where is
right.
this conversation kind of led you guys?
Well, the bottom line is, it is for manufactured cabinets,
Yeah,
and I think if for me, if I am taking a screwdriver to a door that has paint on it and it is not budging and it is completely durable, and I mean, we've done some of those tests too. Of course, we have. We've put mustard on doors and we put ketchup and all kinds of stuff. And if it's going to withstand that kind of abuse, um, and I can take a door to my customer that I have taken a screwdriver to and say, this is what happened when I took a screwdriver to it. I think I am very confident in the work that I do and the studies that I've done on the paint
yeah,
products that I'm using. So when I say it's a trim paint, I know it's because I've gotten that so many times.
I
But
know. Yep.
I'm going to stand behind my work because I know that it is quality work. And we have taken a screwdriver to some of those KCMA tested doors or paint product doors, and they haven't held up nearly as well. So, I mean, it's kind of a give and take. Yes, it's a kitchen and it's going to be a greasy area. If I can wipe it off, with, you know, just a baby wipe,
Hmm.
then I'm going to use that product
Yeah.
because that's really, I don't know. To me, it's not,
It's
it's
yeah,
not a
and
make or
you have
break.
to
It's not
yeah,
going to break my
you have to
cabinet
ask
because,
then, like, is it
yeah,
more important to say that you did a KCMA approved coating which doesn't exist, or is it more important to
right,
give your client something that you know inside of you that is a durable, strong, beautiful finish?
yeah. And the thing is, we test it all the
Yeah,
time.
exactly. This isn't the first time, like, you don't finish a kitchen and stand back like, okay, here we go, let's see.
Right, right. It's we've tested it and I haven't had any callbacks, with the emerald urethane, and
Yeah.
it works out beautifully. I think my clients are happy. I was just in one of my clients' houses and they just said, I love how everything just wipes right off of these cabinets,
Yeah.
and it just I can stand behind my work because I know that we have tested it. So,
Well, and you have done all the legwork on that. We've gone back and forth. You've been talking to the actual association and then
mhm,
sending me the information you get. Thank you for that.
yeah.
And beyond all that, like, the conversation usually goes, well, Nick, you're using Benjamin more advanced. You're using Emerald Trim Urethane.
Mhm,
It's too bad you don't know what you're doing. You need to be using 2K poly, and you need to be using
right.
something that's KCMA standards. And it's like, listen, I agree. It,
Yeah.
it probably is a better product, maybe, I don't know. The problem is when we're putting any of these finishes over an existing finish, there is all of that is null and void. You're only as good
Mhm,
as the finish that is currently on the cabinet. So
right.
conversion varnish, 2K poly imported from Italy, all this other stuff, all of that is a moot point if you're putting this over a previously finished cabinet. Now, if you're
Right.
doing brand new cabinets in a facility and something like that, then yes, that is a factor. But people sometimes forget that if you have nitrocellulose or
Mhm,
precat lacquer on cabinets and you're using 2K Malizi over the top, it's
mhm.
good, but just don't think that you're doing anything by KCMA standards.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I just I love the touch up too, the touch up
Yeah.
factor
Oh,
with our products. I mean, it's
absolutely.
amazing. You just, touch up is super easy and you don't have to, I mean, I can leave touch up paint with my customers and just say if it's a really big damage, just call me, but this is how we can do it. And it just kind of melts right into the existing finish and
I
it
agree.
looks beautiful.
And if
So,
you give somebody, in the big painting professional world, I my big competition is I do like about a 6 day cabinet
hmm
process. Almost everybody here does a
yeah,
3 day, and it's basically they use pre-cat lacquer, and I use either oils or hybrid enamels with oil-based
hmm
primer. And the big reason they choose that is I don't think any of them can look their clients in the eyes and physically say this is better than what other people are doing. It just dries
yeah,
quicker. And that's how I
yeah,
kind of pick my, not a judgment call because I know it's the industry standard, but it's just I like to do this because it allows me to sleep better at night. And like
yeah,
you said, there's a lot of reasons. A client can never get some nitrocellulose lacquer and touch their cabinets up.
right,
That's an
right.
entirely different process. And I really like, I mean, I have 4 kids, and we remodeled our kitchen this last year, brand
hmm
new cabinets. I used Advance on those. I like their
hmm
their white and the satin finish. And the first day, one of the kids rammed something into the corner of the cabinets, put a big dent in it. And it's like, well, all we got to do is get the brush out. It's not a big
Yep.
deal. So,
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I have 4 kids as well, so it's like it's constant, and you
yeah,
want something that, and I do tell my clients that too whenever I'm sitting down with them, because a lot of my clients have kids as well, and I'm like, well, your best bet is going to be this because of this, and I'm
yep.
able to explain that and how we can remedy it if there is an issue, and yeah, I think just talking through some of those issues, but it's not, we're not just throwing something up in the air and just saying, okay, this is a paint I'm going to use today. It's no, we're testing these out, and these are tried and true things that have succeeded, and they're going to work. So,
So when the biggest barrier to entry, and Sherwin-Williams actually presented this major piece of market research to a big industry event this last year that said, basically, if there's a barrier to getting something painted in your house, if you're a potential client, it's color. And
mm,
of the things stopping people from calling a contractor and just getting stuff done, color is the big thing. And especially
mm,
with kitchen cabinets, when we're talking off whites,
yeah,
we know as people who deal with this all the time, there's basically white, there's off white, and then there's a deep cream, and then everything else is a color. There are
yep,
10,000 versions of that in there, though, and people read a lot of spiritualness and feelings and into those colors, and they really like to parse them apart. And when a client comes to you and says, I want white cabinets, that opens up the discussion to 10,000 whites. How do you
sure.
help, and how do you help?
I do help, and I think that that's one of the things that separates me from some of the other cabinet painters in our area is I do have a good color sense. I think
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
know. A lot of people call me for colors, so
Yeah.
but I grew up. My mom's an interior designer, so I kind of
Mhm.
grew up with that aspect too. So I sit down with them and we take a look at their cabinets. We take a look at their countertops. We take a look at their floors, and we kind of try and find a white that's going to coordinate with what they currently have, or if they're going to be making some changes, then we do we'll consult after we get some of that other information collected too, just to make sure that we can get a white that is going to be suitable for them.
Mhm.
um, because like you said, there's so many, like there's whites with the gray undertones and the yellow undertones and the pink undertones, like it's endless, so we
Yeah.
got to find a white that's suitable for everybody.
And
Yeah.
if you think back over the last year, what has kind of been the most popular off-white, white? Have you seen any trends there?
uh, I just finished up another kitchen in Alabaster that seems to be
Yep.
a beautiful off-white. Um, let's see. Uh, and because I use a lot of different paint products, I have so many different color palettes.
Oh yeah,
I've got the Sherwin-Williams, the Benjamin Moore, I've got the PPG Breakthrough. So with Breakthrough, I did a lot of kitchen cabinets in Hourglass, which is,
yeah.
it's a little bit more creamy, and it was just beautiful. I was able to get some really nice finishes, like with the distress and glazing and things like that. But yeah, I've done pure white from Sherwin-Williams. It's also a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, just a more of a stark white. But yeah, there's so many to choose from.
Yeah. And do you do a lot of wall painting along with the kitchens as well, or do you just stick with
I
the cabinet?
don't, but I do have some painters in the area that I refer people out to. I
Oh,
like to
nice.
help other businesses too, and just kind of, if there's something that I don't do, then I'll always refer it out to another business.
Nice. So what takes up the curious part of your brain now? Like what's the next coding, the next process, the next thing that you're interested in?
Oh my gosh. I am constantly looking. Well, I think for me, it's, I love the way that my business is expanded, but now it's how
Hmm.
many other people can I help? How many other people can I help succeed? I think like that's kind of, um, I've always I've always been that way. I think that, we're going to be talking about passion later on, but I think that that's definitely one of the things that I'm passionate about is just, okay, I think that I'm good with where I'm at as far as finding my processes and things that I like and pulling on my team and, kind of figuring out all of that stuff. Now let's see how many other people can we bring on? How many other people can we help succeed? How many other people can we help develop and find their process that is going to work for them? And then let's just hone in and dig in and help everybody grow. I don't know. I think for me, that's kind of always where I'm headed is how many people are we going to be able to help? So,
Yeah, so about the passion thing, obviously you're passionate about this. What
mhm.
sort of unique advantages does that afford you?
Well, advantages as far as, can
You
you
know,
repeat
if
that?
you're it's tough it's tough to put in as much time into
Mm,
this and be as curious as you are. Obviously, if you didn't like it,
yeah.
I think that would be it would take a lot of effort if this was something you weren't that interested in to do. So it seems
Oh,
like almost a
absolutely.
weird competitive advantage to actually like what you do at some point.
Yeah, I agree. But one thing my dad has always instilled in me is you've got to love what you're doing and you've got to
Yeah.
love it. And I think that people can feel that on you. They can just feel that you're so passionate about not only painting. I mean, always growing up, I would be able to paint for hours and hours and hours, and it would feel like minutes. It was just kind of always in me. I feel like every one of us is, we have gifts instilled in us. And I believe that whenever we're using our gifts, then it just shines through. And so I think whenever you're searching for your passion, it's like what can you do for hours on end without
Mm,
without it seeming like anything. And I think with kids, I'm always looking for that in my kids too. Like
yeah.
what are their gifts, and how can I draw those gifts out of them? And I think we do it with the Cabinet Painting University Mastermind group too. It's just like
Hmm.
what are people really good at, and how can we draw those strengths out? And I think, um, yeah, I think when you can do something and just pour yourself into it, it's I think people can see that in you and they can feel it on you.
And do you ever feel a pull because you have a very strong business acumen? Do you ever feel
Hmm.
a pull, uh, maybe in two different directions between the entrepreneurial side and the coding science and craft and things like that?
Yeah. Always. I mean, I think I had a big talk with Rebecca because not only is she like the instrumental part in CPU and everything, but she's also my business mentor. And um, I feel like everybody should have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, and somebody like I feel like you're not growing to your full potential unless you have some sort of mentor, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I was going in a million different directions, and I had a conversation with her. I just said, Rebecca, I need focus. I need to focus on one thing and then just move forward. And it was that cabinets. It was that, moving away from furniture. I still do some. In fact, I have a garage full right now, but kind of moving away from furniture and just focusing on furniture, on cabinets, and kind of honing in on that, and then just taking over all of the social media stuff, and just kind of just keeping that as my focus. And it's still a pull because I want to do more with coatings, and I want to do more with like just kind of the testing aspect. But
Yep.
man, I feel like I don't sleep now as it is.
I know, right? So
It's
the
like
next question
constant.
is, I mean, you're surrounded by people
Yeah.
who do have this sort of love of it or are exploring
Yeah.
this love and this passion. So you get somebody who's painted their own kitchen cabinets. maybe done a
Hmm.
friend's or relative's kitchen cabinets, and they're like, oh, this is it. Like, I love this.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this for a living. What do you tell them?
Well, I always direct people to our course because they say, everything we wish we would have known when we started our business is in here. Like we put it all, like, because my business was doing okay, like I was good, and Melissa's business was doing great. But when we put everything together and we kind of were like, okay, wow, we've got something great here, and then both of our businesses kind of like took off. Like it was crazy what it did. So I just say, I we don't just say, okay, here's our course, go do it. No, we use our course. We do it.
Yeah.
We are constantly improving and growing and implementing it in our own businesses. So it's just I I I'm a coach too. I coach volleyball and basketball, and I one of my rules is, because I was a player too, and I had coaches that would make me do stuff that they would never do. But one of my
Yeah.
rules is I will never make you do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. And I implement that in everything. So if I'm going to guide somebody, then I'm only going to lead the way in my own business practices,
Yeah.
and I'm never going to tell you to do anything that I wouldn't do on my own. But I like to lead by example, and I think that I would direct them down the same path because it's helped my business thrive. So.
Absolutely. So let's talk about you have a business called Inspired by You, yes?
Uh-huh.
And that's where that this is your working grounds, where everything's proven out, and
Yep.
you have Cabinet Painting University, which is an open Facebook group, correct?
Yes. Well, Cabinet Painting University is just kind of like our marketing
Hmm.
Facebook page. So, like, we just kind of keep all of the information up to date on Cabinet Painting
Mm,
University. So
okay.
you can like that on online. Yep.
And then there's Kitchen Cabinet Painting Experts, correct? That's another group?
Hmm. Yep.
Yep.
That's our free group. So
Yep.
in
Okay, so
there,
that's the free group. Sorry.
yep, yep, the kitchen cabinet painting experts. That's our free group. I think right now we've got about 70, I don't know, 7,000, something like that. But there are
That's
people
an
like
amazing
from
number of people.
homeowners to, and again, that's attributed to Rebecca. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people who followed her and her other groups have joined us. But like I said, now some other, we just have some great people, and I think that, it's just a great group. It's a free group, and anybody from homeowners who are looking for help on how to paint their kitchens to, you know, experts with, decades of experience. They're all in there, and I try to do different posts each day. Like today's Friday, so I'll do a Friday favorite, and a lot of
Oh
my
yeah.
Friday favorites I learn from people in the group,
Yeah.
so just things that, or a mastermind post or something like that, people will share. And so I'm able to kind of introduce that into the free group. So we do all different kinds of stuff in there. And then we have our Cabinet Painting University mastermind group.
Hmm.
And in there, that's really just where all of the people in our course, we're all in there together, and we work and we grow, and we're constantly in the pursuit of adding value to our course
Mm.
members, because we don't want to stay the same. And I feel like so many people they get caught in that cesspool of mediocrity and they don't want to
Yeah.
rise above that. And so we're kind of just always searching, and asking our mastermind members, how can we help you? What do you need help with? How can we help you grow? How can we add value to you? And so we're constantly taking that information and then putting it out in the group and just trying to help everybody.
Yeah. And what's interesting is if you had to take a 10,000-foot view of what you guys have created, it speaks to me very pointedly, because it seems like a lot of people who do this for money eventually are at a fork in the road of they have to make a decision of a product that dries faster or a product that does a better job, or they have to do
Hmm.
something that's a little better for their business but doesn't necessarily help the client, or vice versa.
Right.
And it seems like you guys will certainly consider all those options and take them into account, but it always seems
Right.
like you have the client first and foremost, which is
Always.
something that's super important, that
Yeah.
for the sometimes we forget. And when a product discussion comes up or a process discussion comes up, it seems like people conveniently forget the people who are letting you in their home for a week and giving you a lot of money to change the
Right.
color of something in their house. And I,
Hmm.
I, I always remind people, I always have to remind myself too, that would you pay for this? And if you were paying
Right.
for this, would you want to hear this discussion right now from that professional over there?
Yeah. Right, right. I think you're absolutely right. And it's all about always putting the client first. And
Yep.
you know, I don't believe that the client is always right, but sometimes they're just not
Well,
educated
just like
in what
not
we
we're
know.
always right either, you know?
Right, exactly, exactly. But I do believe that they should be a priority,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think that just treating them fairly and you know, we do a lot of what we do too is handling customer issues
Hmm.
and
Yep.
how can we treat the client with people skills and you know just not because I believe good word of mouth travels fast, but bad word of mouth travels far faster.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
seems to
and it's
linger
not
longer
just
too.
absolutely. And you know, you just want to treat people with respect, not because it can come back on you, but just because you're a good person and you should be treating everybody with respect. You know what I mean? And so we do talk about that in our course too. We talk about how to handle things with people skills and to treat the customer with respect and to make them a priority. And I think we had a question the other day in the free group just about, you know, what do you do if a client is standing there and watching you paint the whole time? Like, talk to them, or, you know, just say
Yeah,
hi, or,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I said a lot of times, like you said, you're in this person's home and they're if they're standing there watching you, then a trust hasn't been built yet. So you've
Yeah,
got to
that's
build
true.
that trust because people aren't going to use your services unless they like you, trust you, and respect you. And so your goal is to build that. And I think when you establish that, not only do you do a better job for the client, but your referrals go through the roof. I mean, I really haven't had to do any advertising for my
Hmm.
business because it's just been all word of mouth. And so we teach people how to do that and how to get those kind of results and just using your customer testimonials and treating people with respect and making your business move forward. But I think that we need more professionals out there who are going to treat their clients with respect and make their clients as a priority and treat their clients like they would want to be treated if they were the client. So,
I agree. And yes, client comes first and all that, but you guys never forget that this is an entrepreneurial venture too, and you're
mhm,
very sharp on the business end too. You know, that's
mm,
you always have to keep it in check because you
yeah,
know the best thing you could do for a homeowner is run a good business where everybody's
yes,
happy, your people are being paid well, you're being paid for your worth, so
hmm,
you're always not under stress. And so I like
right,
that you guys take a really holistic view of that sort of thing, and it's really unique,
yeah.
at least in the worlds that we come from.
Yeah, I think so many people undervalue their work too.
Yeah.
That's one thing we have to try and get people to, you know, that's why we put our price guide out in the free group. Just
Hmm.
don't charge below what we have listed here. You can go far above that, but don't go below this because, you know, people are charging $900 to do a large kitchen, and it's like,
Yeah.
what in the world are you thinking? You're not getting paid a dime, and you're putting all this work in, and I mean, we have a lady in our course, Maria, who she's booked into March of 2020 right now, like just insane. And I keep telling her, I'm like, Maria, you got to raise your prices, you got to raise your prices, you got to raise your prices, and she does. And now she's into March, and I said, Maria, I said, you realize that you have done such a good job establishing customer relationships, and you really have followed the process to the T. And now people are paying for you. They're not just paying
Hmm.
for your service, but they're paying for you. And you've got to make sure that you're getting paid with what you're worth. And I said, and she is a doll. She's just like, but I love what I do. I don't want to charge too much. And I said, I understand that. I said, but now they're paying for you. And I said, and you're going to drive yourself into the grave if you keep on going out to
Hmm.
much farther. I said, but you've got until March 2020 to get your next kitchen. So I think
Exactly.
you're
Yep.
good.
Well, and one thing, you know, when I never get mad, you know, 80% of the professional painting industry is basically one person companies. And that's not a
Hmm.
good or a bad thing. It just is a thing. And I was
Yeah.
certainly that for a long time. And one thing that, again, the 10,000-foot view is that, you know, I ran into this morning. I got an email from somebody locally that said, Nick, a painter came in and is going to do our entire inside of our house for half of the price you did. And it's like, I'm sure they're
Hmm.
going to do a good job. They're fine.
Yeah.
The only problem is that person who runs a one-person company may only be replicating a job and not a business. So,
Right.
if you take all the risk of having these people out here and having liability insurance, work comp
Yeah.
insurance, employment taxes, you have to fund your own health care, retirement,
Yeah.
your kids' college funds. And if you're basically making $21 an hour at that, that doesn't afford you the ability to pay for liability insurance and stuff. You're basically just
Exactly.
replicating a job like what I pay my employees. So
Hmm.
there's never any looking down on it, because I know a lot of
Hmm.
people in my area who actually do a really good product for that. The only problem is if they break their knee, that's it.
They're
As
out.
a business owner, you can't get work comp. So
Right.
you can't file for unemployment, So it's one of
Hmm.
those things where a lot of people haven't taken the full calculation of what it costs to run a business, and it is what it
Well,
is.
exactly. Yeah.
But they're doing themselves a disservice, and not saying that everybody should collude and raise their prices, but I think a lot of people, like you said, are truly undervaluing like the future
Hmm.
cost of what they're doing, because what we're doing is
Exactly.
manual labor, and it is going to take a toll sooner or later.
Absolutely. And what if they want to hire somebody like
Yeah.
in 2 months?
Hmm.
They're locked into those prices and they can't
Yeah.
raise them after they've already accepted the bid. So I, yeah, there's so many elements to it. But
It's
yeah,
tough.
I
And
agree.
And a good check that somebody told me very early on is that if you're making what you could make working for somebody else doing this, like if you're pulling in 25 or $26, gross on your cabinet jobs, you can find a painting company and work for that and not have any of the
Yeah.
stress or liabilities or anything else. So you should be doing
Yeah,
something a little more than that. So, yeah.
absolutely. And I think, it's just, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought.
No, that's okay. How about this? If this is your passion, if you have
Yeah.
the entrepreneurial bug and you truly love the craft of this, how do people get involved with you and Melissa?
Well, if you're looking to get involved with Cabinet Painting University, you just go to www.cabinetpaintinguniversity.com. And then on there, there's like a big red button right under Nick's face. We got your face on there. Rebecca updated that. But because you're watching this now, you'll get $50 off. So you just click that button and then you can register for our course. And then what we'll do is send you a username and password, and that will take you into our online course. And then you also get accepted into our Cabinet Painting University Mastermind group where you can just constantly grow. You're also going to get a free Cabinet Painting University t-shirt with your registration as well. So you got one? Oh yeah, I got mine too. Keep
Phenomenal shirt, by the way. Good quality. It fits well, and it's not the old
Yeah.
Hanes Hefty where it feels like it's starched out and it doesn't fit right.
Yes. And
Well,
these
that's
will get
awesome.
you, if you're a cabinet painter and you wear these in Home Depots or Lowe's, make sure you have your business cards on you. It says, keep calm, I paint kitchen
I
cabinets.
love it.
I hand out so many business cards whenever I wear that.
Oh, that's awesome. But no,
Yeah.
thank you so much for this opportunity to expose me
Yeah.
to your community, and likewise to expose the Ask a Painter community to this wonderful wealth of knowledge. So we got a
Well, we
lot of
truly
commercial and
appreciate you.
painters, industrial painters, standard house painters, but everybody's interested in kitchen cabinets, and there's still a
Yeah.
lot of like ghosts and mysteries and wives'
Hmm.
tales about the stuff. And I love that you guys are out
Yeah.
there doing the Lord's work, just kind of dispelling all those sort of like myths and things like that. So,
We do our best. And I mean, I think we truly love our groups. And I think you can tell. We
yeah,
just, we love
absolutely.
the people. We love to have fun. I mean, I just posted, if you go on to the free group, make sure that you watch because they changed the notification settings on Facebook yesterday. Did you notice
Ah,
that? Well, if you're on Ask a Painter, make sure that you go and click all posts so that you can see and you don't miss anything. But I just did a video on how to do it in the free
mm.
group. And at the end, I posted a awesome video of Michael Crane dancing. So you'll have to
Oh,
watch
nice.
that.
Oh, that's
But
so
we love to
cool.
have fun together, and it's just a great group of people and we love to learn and grow. And I think the coolest thing is just everybody is so open-minded.
Yeah.
Like they don't take anything like I know that there's a lot of paint companies that will just say, or reps that will say, you don't need to prep or you don't need to, you can do this. And it's like, okay, well, that's what you're saying, but let's test it. I think we've kind of created a culture of people who they don't take it what people say, but they go out and they do their own tests, and
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. I love to see that, and I love
Trust but
other
verify.
people experimenting. Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
that's a
So,
wonderful thing. So again, thank you for taking the time to do this.
yeah.
I love that I was introduced to your group. We have a very fruitful sort of relationship going forward.
Yeah.
I'm gathering a lot of perspective from the stuff you guys put out there. So let's definitely stay in contact and do more of this stuff.
Absolutely.
And thank you to the PDCA, the Painting and Decorating Contractors of
Yes.
America, who also would love to raise the standards of this industry. They're coming out with a whole bunch of very, very interesting sort of onboarding videos and tools for brand new painters and apprentice painters. And they're also coming out with a whole series of stuff for business owners as well. So look for that in 2019. That is going to change the industry. So thank you for this. Any last words before we call it a Friday?
No, just, I mean, we would love to have you join us. You know, I
Absolutely.
think Cabinet Painting University is just what we've started has been amazing, but I don't think we've seen anything yet. You know, we're still in the growing process, and we love, I think our success is your success, is when we help people grow. I think we're just like proud parents, you know, that are just so
Yeah,
excited
absolutely.
and cheering you on and just sharpening each other daily. So come join us, and thank you so much, Nick, for having me. And I always enjoy talking to you and learning from you, and just respect you so much as a professional. So thank you.
Well, the feeling is mutual. And again, thank you for this. So, everybody, thank you for hanging in there. We will certainly answer any questions you guys have offline over the next couple of weeks when people view and question and comment. We're open books. You know that. You've
Yeah.
seen both of our stuff. It is what it is. We're always happy to help. So thanks again, everybody. I look forward to seeing everybody on your groups and likewise yours on mine. And have a great Friday.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Yep.